Since my husband's adopted sister returned from abroad, my husband and son have been playing a game that's all about finding ways to make me angry. Dad, I haven't finished my homework yet, but I really want to go to the amusement park now. What should I do if Mom doesn't let me go? Do you know Mom's favorite yellow vase? If you break that vase, Mom will definitely get angry. When she's angry, she won't care about you anymore. Then you can go to the amusement park with your Auntie Lynn. I was holding my laptop and working when I heard the conversation between my husband and son outside. My fingers froze on the enter key and I remained in a daze for a long time, leaving a large blank space in the document. The next second the door was pushed open and my son swaggered in, heading straight for the yellow glazed ding kiln vase. I sighed, suddenly realizing that I had devoted too much of my emotions to this father-son pair. So much that they had forgotten what kind of person I used to be. I looked directly into my son's eyes. Milo, Lynn, if you dare to break that vase, you're dead. Hearing my words, his eyes filled with the typical childlike mischief. He reached out and knocked my favorite vase to the ground, making a crisp click sound. My son's voice was full of provocation. How about it, Mom? Are you really that angry now? At 11 o'clock at night, faint cries of a child could be heard from Milo Lynn's room. I sat on the sofa in the living room, casually scrolling through my phone, ignoring Milo Lynn's cries. Between a soft and a hard nut to crack, he chose the frozen one. I admired his courage to be used as a pawn, but I despised his weakness when facing the consequences. Leo Lynn paced back and forth in front of me, listening to the sobs from the room and finally couldn't hold back. Ruby, it's already 11 o'clock. Isn't that enough? Who makes a child copy books until this late? You'll wear him out. I didn't even look up. I've warned him. He didn't listen and broke my favorite vase right in front of me. This punishment is necessary for him. He's 5 years old. When you were 5 and didn't listen to your parents, did they let you off so easily? It was just a joke. Why are you being so serious? I snorted. A joke? Your father-son joke is to make him not listen to his mother. This time he dared to break a vase worth millions without listening to me. Next time he'll dare to burn down our house right in front of me. I looked up at Leo Lynn standing in front of me. Just like you. This time you dared to take another woman to the amusement park. Next time you'll dare to take her to a hotel room. Hearing my words, Leo Lynn's face turned a shade of urgent red. Ruby, what are you talking about? Just as he finished speaking, the doorbell rang. I raised an eyebrow and pointed to the door with my chin. If you open the door, you'll know if I'm talking nonsense or not. Leo Lynn glared at me and walked over to open the door. Brother, what's wrong with Milo? As soon as the door opened, a pretty figure threw herself into Leo Lynn's arms, her tone filled with concern and worry. Lynn Wanwan, the adopted daughter of the Lynn family who returned from abroad, my husband Leo Lynn's adopted sister. Leo Lynn didn't notice anything inappropriate about the overly intimate gesture between the siblings. He held his little sister's arm and turned back to glare at me. It's all because of her. Milo just broke a vase and she made him copy books until this late as if he wasn't her own son. Sister-in-law, you're too much. Lynn Wanwan didn't consider herself an outsider at all. She threw out this sentence and quickly ran into Milo Lynn's room. The niece and nephew had been whispering in the room for a long time. I had no idea what Lynn Wanwan had said to Milo Lynn, but he actually took her hand and walked out of the room. I glanced at him and asked, have you finished copying the books I asked you to? Milo Lynn shuddered in fear. Lynn Wanwan crouched down and patted his back encouragingly, saying, if you have something to say, just speak up. With your aunt here, there's nothing to be afraid of. Encouraged by her, Milo Lynn's gaze gradually changed from fear to determination. I don't want to copy books. I want to go to the amusement park. I want to eat ice cream. I want to play with the tablet. You're a bad mom. I hate you. I don't want you anymore. I want my dad and aunt to be with me. You go away. I looked at my son coldly and said, Milo Lynn, repeat what you just said. Oh, sister-in-law, how can you educate your child like this? Look at his hands, they're swollen from writing. Shut up. You have no right to speak here. I forcefully interrupted Lynn Wanwan's chatter, which instead triggered a stress response from Leo Lynn. Ruby, watch your mouth. How dare you talk to Wanwan like that? I glanced at him and said, Leo Lynn, while I can still speak calmly, you'd better keep your mouth shut. I turned my gaze back to Lynn. You just said you don't want me anymore and want to be with your aunt. Is that right? Lynn, I'll ask you one last time. Between me and your aunt, who do you want? Lynn was startled by my stern tone for the first time and looked up at Lin helplessly. After a while it seemed he got some kind of strength from her. He looked at me fiercely and said, I want my aunt. You always control me. I hate you. I took out my phone and dialed a number. Your son and grandson said they don't want me anymore. I plan to go to the civil affairs office with him tomorrow to get a divorce. Lynn lunged to grab my phone, but I slapped him hard across the face. Slap. Lynn's face was full of anger as he held his face and glared at me hatefully. Ruby, what are you doing? Disturbing my parents in the middle of the night. Are you crazy? I looked at him with a sly smile. You can be crazy too. You have a phone, don't you? You can call my parents too. Lynn backed down. Seeing that I was really angry, Lynn burst into tears but still didn't apologize. Instead he hugged Lyn's neck. Look at this is the son I gave birth to. Lynn, you must have been saying bad things about me to him, right? What nonsense are you talking? Lynn's veins on his forehead bulged. You can't educate your child well. Do you still want to blame me? I didn't want to waste any more words with him. The room fell into an awkward silence, with only Lynn's crying echoing through the large villa. Outside, the darkness was pierced by car lights. Grandpa and Grandma's car pulled up at the door. What's going on? Why did you suddenly start arguing like this? Grandma came in and looked at Lynn. He pointed at me and said, ask her. Who knows what crazy thing she did today? I cut to the chase and didn't spare anyone's feelings. Your son has a crush on your adopted daughter. Your good daughter is even encouraging my son to leave me. Are you planning to match them up? Grandpa's first reaction was to glare fiercely at his son and daughter. Grandma, on the other hand, held my hand sympathetically. Good child, they are siblings. How could such a thing happen? Mom, nothing is impossible. But since you say it's impossible, then I'll give them a chance to prove their innocence. I took out my phone and turned on the video function, pointing the camera at the two people standing in front of me. You both promise that you only have a brother-sister relationship and will never cross the line in any way for the rest of your lives. Stop standing there. Kneel down and say it. The Hoes and the Lyns were in a marriage alliance. The reason why I married Lynn was not only because of the alliance but also simply because I didn't dislike him as a person. Love is too luxurious for people nowadays. Marrying a man I don't dislike and falling in love with him later doesn't seem so hard for me to accept. After marriage, I didn't want to live a cold and distant life, so I did my best to fall in love with Lynn. In fact, I did fall in love with this man in our later marriage life, especially after giving birth to Lynn. I even shifted the focus of my life from work to this father and son. I no longer cared about the gains and losses in the contract. Instead, I would be overjoyed after cooking a delicious meal for them. I was no longer accustomed to a routine life and a tightly scheduled work. Instead, I would be reluctant to leave Lynn's embrace and warmth when I woke up in the morning. It's said that the one who takes the initiative in love is the humble one, but I don't know. When I started to enjoy this feeling, I thought Lynn and I could run towards each other, cross one hurdle after another together, and walk hand in hand until we grew old together, raising our child to adulthood. But the return of his cousin Lin made my humility completely exposed. He started to work overtime more and more frequently at the company, and attended more and more social gatherings. The affection and tenderness between us became absent-minded. Until 3 months ago he suddenly started to ask for separate bedrooms and moved to the secondary bedroom. It was then that I found out that the reason for his frequent overtime was that Lin was assigned to Lin Corporation and became his secretary. She almost never missed any social gatherings. As for the separate bedrooms, he said that couples should keep a proper distance to maintain freshness. But the late-night phone calls from the secondary bedroom made me doubt if he was being faithful to someone else. Lin appeared more and more frequently in his words. These words made me have the illusion that she was a perfect person. She was simply too perfect. Lin almost attributed divinity to her. Even my son began to get closer to Lin and started to be insincere to me. Children's likes and dislikes are always straightforward. He liked Lin because this aunt didn't care about his weak stomach and allowed him to eat ice cream without restraint. Lin Wanwan didn't care if he made mistakes or finished his homework. She would even call the kindergarten to ask for leave for him and take him to the amusement park to play all day. But when he had a stomach flu or got a bad grade, Lin Wanwan would disappear gracefully, leaving Leo Lin to shift all the mess she created onto me. At first, I thought it was just because Lin Wanwan had no experience in taking care of children. It wasn't until today when I heard the conversation between father and son and saw that ambiguous hug between the brother and sister, that I finally woke up. Our marriage to him was essentially a calculated game. He used the marriage alliance as a cover to exchange for the benefits of cooperation, while I was still foolishly using the lever of love to pry open his love for me. Now it seems that this business merger under the guise of love has turned into that magnificent robe infested with lice as described by Eileen Chong. Hearing my words, Leo Lin immediately got angry. Ruby, who are you, crazy? If you're sick, go see a doctor. Why are you acting crazy in front of my parents? I looked at him calmly. Don't dare to say? So I was right. Leo Lin immediately swore at the spot. You're full of shit. Wanwan is Milo's aunt and my parents' daughter. Can you stop talking nonsense here? Oh, she's the aunt and also the daughter. I looked at him with a teasing expression. Husband, you didn't mention the sister. Don't you think it's a bit too obvious that you're trying to cover something up? Hereby declaring that there's no silver here, I said, looking at him. Are you trying to admit the filth between you two in a roundabout way? Don't you think I made them kneel down just because they were having an unclear relationship? My mother-in-law looked at me with confusion. Is there anything else? I pointed at Milo Lin, who was being protected by Lin Wanwan. As a father, you taught your son not to listen to his mother and used your son as a weapon, deliberately making him confront me in front of me. As an aunt, you're even worse. You either take the child out to play all day or let him eat things he shouldn't. Is this what a responsible aunt would do? I looked straight into Leo Lin's eyes. Or are you two just using the child as a shield to provide convenience for your private meetings? You're slandering me. Lin Wanwan's eyes were red with a glimmer of tears in them. She looked at me pitifully. There's nothing between me and my brother. Don't make up lies here. Boys are naturally active. Milo just broke a vase. You punished him by making him copy books until so late. He's only 5 years old, do you know that? You're just venting your private anger on your own son. I turned to Leo Lin. Your good sister says I'm venting my anger on the child. Now tell your parents what your precious son did today under your instruction. I've already explained to you. It was just a joke. Can't you stop making a big deal out of such a small matter? My father-in-law's stern gaze swept over. What did you say to the child? Seeing his father angry, Leo Lin stammered for a long time but still didn't dare to admit that he used his son as a weapon. My father-in-law walked up to Lin Wanwan, took Milo Lin from her arms and gently held his grandson's shoulders. Milo, be good. Tell Grandpa what your father said to you today that made you upset your mother. If you tell the truth, Grandpa will always love you. But if you lie, Grandpa won't buy you toys or snacks anymore, and you won't be allowed to play with the tablet. For a 5-year-old child, these things were almost all his pleasures in life. So Milo Lin surrendered immediately. I said I wanted to go to the amusement park, but I couldn't because I didn't finish my homework. Dad said that if I made Mom angry she wouldn't care about me anymore. Then he could take me to my aunt and go to the amusement park with her. Although my father-in-law still had a smile on his face, there was no trace of it in his eyes. Then what? Then I listened to Dad and broke the yellow bottle that Mom likes the most. After all, he was just a 5-year-old child. Milo Lin didn't know how to judge the situation. Seeing his grandfather's kind expression, he immediately felt he had found a pillar of support. He held his grandfather's hand and pointed at me to start complaining. Grandpa, I don't like Mom. She always controls me and makes me study. I don't like her. Grandpa, kick Mom out and let Aunt be my mom. Only Aunt is really nice to me. My father-in-law's face twisted. Really? Why is Aunt nice to you? My aunt will go to the kindergarten to ask for leave for me, take me to the amusement park to play, and also take me to eat my favorite ice cream. She also downloaded many games for me on the tablet. When he got excited, Milo Lin raised his hand and said, Grandpa, you don't know. My aunt bought me a lot of ice cream and said I could eat as much as I wanted. Grandpa, my aunt said that Mom doesn't love me at all. I think my aunt is right. Grandpa, please kick Mom out for me. I don't like Mom. Dad said whoever he marries will be my mom. Grandpa, please let Dad marry my aunt. Looking at the little white-eyed wolf I gave birth to, I suddenly felt a sense of emptiness. The maternal love that was originally overflowing in my heart seemed to be like the fine sand flowing out of a broken hourglass, rapidly draining away. Shut up. This was the first time since Lynn was born that his grandpa shouted at him so angrily. Dubo canvas type equals, text markdown, identifier equals marriage conflict divorce, title equals, marriage conflict and divorce ultimatum, genre equals, Lynn Leo. If you want me to call off the cooperation termination, it's simple, I said, pointing at Lynn Wanwan behind him. Within 2 minutes, hit her hard enough to knock out 2 of her teeth. Then the Howlin cooperation can continue. Otherwise, you'll bear the consequences. My mother-in-law, who'd been fuming just moments ago, instantly switched to a conciliatory tone. She stepped forward and grabbed my hand. Ruby, we're family, why say something so hurtful? Wanwan was just worried about Milo. She meant no harm. You're her sister-in-law. If you're really upset, I'll apologize on her behalf. That should be enough, right? As she spoke, she bent her knees, pretending to kneel. This was her usual trick. Rushing to admit fault, to paint herself as a victim, using guilt to pressure others into dropping the matter. But I knew her too well. I'd grown used to these games long ago. I held her up with one hand, checking my phone with the other. Mom, you did nothing wrong. If anyone's at fault, it's me. If I hadn't been in the way, your son and your adopted daughter would have probably already had a second child, right? We've got 31 seconds left. Seems your son really likes the girl you adopted. Why didn't you and Dad let them be together back then? The Lynn family is so wealthy. Surely you weren't after the Howe family's cooperation and support, were you? My mother-in-law's face burned with embarrassment. She shot a sharp glare at her 2 children, but still clung to my arm shamelessly. Ruby, listen to me. It's not what you think, you're misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? What am I misunderstanding? I gently but firmly pried her hand off my arm. Didn't your precious son egg our son on to disobey me? Didn't your precious adopted daughter disregard our grandson's health, trying to spoil him rotten? I checked my phone again. Lynn Leo, 30 seconds left. Are you still not going to act? Ruby, how have you caused enough trouble? You've been slandering Wanwan and me this whole time. Wanwan's my sister, what do you want? Sister, huh? Fine. I'll give you a chance to prove it. Say right now that you'll never have feelings for each other beyond siblinghood. I'll record it. As evidence. Do you dare? Can't you be rational? Family matters are family matters. Business is business. You're willing to ruin the cooperation over such a trivial thing. Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? I glanced at my phone one last time. Okay, time's up. I grabbed my bag, pushed past Lynn Leo blocking my way and headed for the door. Bring your ID. Tomorrow at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Be there or be square. Ruby. Lynn Leo called out. I turned back to see Wanwan pulling him back, stopping him from chasing me. They didn't even bother pretending anymore. Milo waved his fist at me. Go away. You're a bad mom, I don't want you anymore. I want Auntie. Auntie's 100 times better than you. I'm staying with Auntie. In that moment, all my hesitation vanished. I pointed at Milo, looking at his father. I don't want this kid either. You get custody. Let your good sister be his stepmom from now on. With that, I slammed the villa door shut behind me. The next morning, I waited at the Civil Affairs Bureau until noon, but Lynn Leo never showed up. I called him, he hung up immediately. Moments later, I received a text from him. I'm in a meeting. If you've calmed down, come home. Tonight we'll take Milo to the movies as a family. Wanwan booked the tickets for us. My fingers flew across the screen. Lynn Leo, bring your ID and get your ass to the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. I'm not in the mood for your jokes. But my message vanished into the void. Lynn Leo didn't reply. I called again, only to find his phone was turned off. Fuming, I went home. As soon as I walked in, another text arrived. Let's forget about yesterday. I'll take you to the auction house another day to pick out an antique vase you like. I'll buy it for you. I called once more. The voice prompt still said his phone was off. For the rest of the day, Lynn Leo tortured me with this game, sending me trivial updates about his day, throwing in a random care message now and then shutting his phone off immediately, terrified I'd call back. Even now, he naively thought ignoring the problem would make it go away. I texted him, "Lynn Leo, my patience has limits. This is your last chance. Tomorrow bring your ID and come with me to get a divorce. Otherwise don't blame me for forgetting our marriage." Half an hour later, Lynn Leo replied, "Let's eat at that new couples restaurant tonight. Be there or be square." I laughed out loud when I saw the message. Turns out when you're truly speechless, laughter just comes naturally. I called my secretary in. "Tell all department heads to meet in 30 minutes. We're discussing the full termination of all future cooperation with Lynn Group." An hour later, How Group officially halted all ongoing cooperative projects with Lynn Group and cancelled all future collaborations. I knew Lynn Leo's parents had had ulterior motives when they proposed the marriage to my parents. After all, Lynn Group's annual revenue back then was less than a tenth of How Group's. To boost Lynn Group's status, Lynn Leo had spread rumors about us after helping me into his car while I was drunk. He'd then capitalized on the gossip to secure a cooperative project with How Group, using it to prove the rumors were true. I didn't dislike Lynn Leo. After all, marriage was marriage. Marrying someone I found tolerable was better than worse. So I'd let the Lynn family control the narrative, letting them smoothly push the marriage forward. I wasn't clueless about Lynn Wanwan either. I knew the Lynn family had practically forced her abroad when the rumors about Lynn Leo and me first started. Back then, I hadn't known about the budding feelings between Wanwan and her non-biological brother. I'd thought she just didn't want to leave the country or some other trivial reason, and hadn't bothered to investigate further. It wasn't until Wanwan returned and she and Lynn Leo started acting suspiciously that I realized Lynn Leo had probably been behind the Lynn family's decision to send her abroad. The Lynn family's logic was easy to read. I'd been married to Lynn Leo for 6 years, and we already had a 5-year-old son. They were certain I wouldn't walk away over some ambiguous sibling relationship. So when I'd laid bare the pair's shameful behavior, my in-laws had acted angry, but hadn't tried to stop it. They hadn't punished Lynn Leo, hadn't even considered sending Wanwan away again. They just begged me to be magnanimous, to not let such a small matter affect the child. They thought I'd be held hostage by a child. Unfortunately, they'd miscalculated. Lynn Wanwan was even dumber. She'd secretly bribed her nephew behind her adoptive parents' backs. Since Milo wasn't her child, she didn't care about him. Even if he ended up with health issues later, she was confident she could pin the blame on me. That way she'd drive a wedge between Lynn Leo and me and pave the way for her own future children with him, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. But she'd underestimated my resolve. If a child was destined to be an ungrateful wretch, why would I waste time raising him just to let him ruin my life? Now that I'd given up the only tie linking me to the Lynn family, our son, and cut off cooperation with Lynn Group completely, the Lynn family finally panicked. That afternoon, right after How Group announced the full termination of cooperation, Lynn Leo finally called me. "Ruby, how are you serious?" Gone was the soft, gentle tone he usually used with me. His accusation was as harsh and rigid as the volcanic rock coffee table at home. "I gave you chances. You didn't cherish them. Your family didn't take me seriously. If you don't take me seriously, why should I care about the Lynn family's feelings?" Lynn Leo sounded like he was about to snap. "Ruby, how can't you be reasonable? Wanwan and I didn't do anything. I only see her as my real sister. We're just a little closer. Why are you jealous over nothing? And Milo's already 5. You're his mother, can't you stop acting like a child?" I knew he'd use the child against me. We hadn't even spoken a few sentences before he brought Milo up. "Lynn Leo, your son only has eyes for the woman who's dying to be his stepmom. Do you really think I care about a child who doesn't even recognize his own mother? Ruby, how have you lost your mind? That's your biological son. You're just going to abandon him." My voice was calm. "Lynn Leo, I'll tell you one last time, I want a divorce. I'll give up custody of Lynn Milo. You can refuse to go sign the papers, but you know exactly what'll happen." I hung up and sent him several photos. Lynn Leo called back immediately. I hung up again. He had to text me instead. "Where did you get these?" The photos were all of him and Lynn Wanwan in intimate poses. There was no proof of them crossing the line, but the hugs, the face touching, and the way they looked at each other. more affectionate than a dog eyeing a pile of poop, were more than enough to spark speculation. I replied, "You two didn't bother to act appropriately in public. It's only natural someone would take photos, right? I'll give you until tomorrow morning to think. If you're not at the Civil Affairs Bureau by 9 a.m., these photos will be on the front pages of financial columns and entertainment headlines. Ruby, how I'm your husband. What you're doing is ruining Milo. Are you still a mother? When you made your child not listen to me, did you ever think that you were a father? Didn't you think that you would ruin your own son when you did that? Stop talking nonsense to me. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you don't come, not only will your Lynn family lose face, but I'll also file a lawsuit in court. If the matter gets out of hand, then it won't be me who loses face." The next morning, Lynn obediently waited at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Accompanying him were my parents-in-law. Seeing me, my mother-in-law hurried over and, just like last time, grabbed my hand and said, "Ruby, it's all Mom's fault. Mom didn't discipline this brat well. If you want to blame her, blame her. As long as you can come back and live a good life with Leo, no matter what conditions you make, Mom will agree to them." She was sincere in her words, but not a single word was trustworthy. The whole story was filled with empty promises to me. I resolutely withdrew my hand and said, "I gave you a chance before, but you didn't cherish it. You thought I was an easy target to handle. Now when I think about it, I regret it. It's too late." Father-in-law also came over to smooth things over. "Ruby, we know you're angry inside. If you're angry, just let it out. Whether you hit him or scold him, as long as it can calm you down, you can deal with him however you like. As long as you two can live a good life, we can agree to any conditions you put forward." "Really? No matter what conditions?" Lynn nodded repeatedly. "Yes, as long as you don't divorce me, I'll accept whatever you ask me to do." "All right," as I said that day, "you go and have your sister's tooth knocked out for me." I held out 4 fingers and said, "But this time it's not 2 teeth. I want 4 teeth. I don't care what method you use. As long as you can break her 4 teeth and send her abroad and never let her come back for the rest of her life, I'll come home with you and continue to live a good life." Lynn obediently went to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me to apply for divorce. Our property is very clear. There is no joint property between us, so there is no property dispute either. As I walked out of the Civil Affairs office, my former father-in-law stopped me. "Is there anything else for you?" Lynn's father seemed very awkward. After struggling for a long time, he finally spoke up. "Ruby, actually, we have always regarded you as our own daughter." I interrupted him, "If you have nothing urgent to do, then I'll be leaving first." Seeing that I remained completely unmoved, Lynn's father sighed and said, "Ruby, I know it's our Lynn family's fault for letting you down, but Wanwan's father did me a favor back then. He saved my life before. I promised to protect Wanwan as I would my own daughter. I'm very sorry about Leo and Wanwan's matter, but Leo also said before that love is love and business is business. Do you think the cooperation between our two families?" I smiled at him and said, "I should have made it very clear before. Your attitude towards this matter has made me very angry. You have always been defending an adopted daughter and treating me, the daughter-in-law who married into your family, as an outsider. This makes me feel very uncomfortable. So, ending all cooperation is my punishment for you. Please don't talk to me about emotional business either. In my opinion, there's no need to make these two things so distinct. Since your son betrayed me emotionally, I naturally want to take revenge with what your Lynn family values most. There's no reason for me to consider your interests after suffering such a great injustice. I'm not that noble. After all, they were elders." I still politely said goodbye to him. "Goodbye, uncle. I hope we can hear the good news of your daughter's birth next time we meet. There is no such thing as a completely airtight wall in the world." The news that the Howe family and the Lynn family had broken off relations was eventually spread out. The complete interruption of cooperation between the Howe family and the Lynn family also indirectly confirms the reliability of this news. So when Lynn Wanwan invited me out, it was the time when the Lynn family had lost the support of the Howe family and was being attacked by several other rivals on all sides. When I saw her again, she was no longer dressed in the casual style of an unmarried girl. Instead, she was wearing a cheongsam and high heels, striving to present herself as a mature and noble lady. Of course I knew what her purpose was in dressing like this. Is something good about to happen? Seeing that I not only didn't get angry but also teased her like an old friend, a clear sense of frustration appeared in her eyes. Well, my brother and I are getting married next month and then we decide to go on a global honeymoon. I cursed in my heart for loading goods. Lynn's family is in a troubled period now. Instead of helping the family share the pressure, she still wants to drag Lynn around the world. She really thinks that her family's money was blown in by the wind. Pretty good. I never had a honeymoon trip before and I still feel very regretful now. I really envy you. Seeing that I just kept flattering her without achieving the expected effect, Lynn Wanwan still couldn't hold on to her reserve. Dino, I used to envy you all the time, envious that you could marry your elder brother. But now I don't envy you anymore because he finally belongs to me. I nodded in agreement and said, yes, yes. Those who are meant to be together have finally achieved success. I've been waiting for so many years to be with my elder brother. Thank you for giving him to me. I waved my hand and said, what's the point of giving in or not? He's not a dog with a license. If you can hold him in your arms, that's because you have the ability. I also saw through his nature as a man who deceives and plays with women's feelings. I thought he was not a good person and that's why I proposed divorce to him. I patted Lynn Wanwan's hand to comfort her and said, so whether he knocked out your teeth or not back then, I would have divorced him. Lynn Wanwan eventually picked up on the hidden meaning in my words. He's not a man who deceives and plays with women's feelings. He won't hit me either. He didn't even yield to your threats for me. He's not a good man to you, but to me he's my one and only. Then why didn't he marry you back then? She got stuck. And Lingrong, who seemed to have suddenly lost her voice, sat opposite me in a daze, looking completely bewildered. I stood up and patted her on the shoulder saying, congratulations in advance. You two have finally become siblings. Lynn and Lynn Wanwan's wedding drew a lot of criticism. Many people who attended the wedding were there just to watch the commotion. After all, no matter where it is placed, when an elder brother marries his younger sister, it is always a good topic of conversation, even if the two are only nominal siblings and have no blood relationship. After the wedding was over, the two packed their luggage and boarded the plane directly to go abroad. Just 1 week after the two of them boarded the international flight, the Lynn group suddenly encountered a joint attack from other business competitors. Within just a few days, it fell into a difficult situation due to inflated costs. Of course, if I were to say that I didn't do it myself, I wouldn't believe it either. Lynn had no choice but to forcibly cancel his honeymoon trip abroad and hurriedly took the nearest flight back home. But such a thing can't be settled just by his return. On the other side, Lynn Wanwan, who once doted on Lynn to the extreme, also began to reveal her true nature. When occasional meetings turn into daily interactions, the once casual indulgence deteriorates into constant indulgence and indifference. It was not until late at night when Lynn, who was returning home late, heard intermittent crying from his son's room that he realized how Lynn, who had been treating ice cream and snacks as 3 meals a day, had been let loose by Lynn Wanwan. Because Lynn ate too much ice cream, his gastroenteritis had developed a lesion and he had to undergo emergency surgery to remove a section of his intestine. Your parents are so irresponsible. At the entrance of the operating room, the doctor who had just operated on Lynn started complaining to the 4 members of the Lynn family. How could you give a child so many cold drinks? The child has intestinal obstruction. If it had been delivered 2 hours later, the child might not have been saved. Hearing the doctor say so, Lynn Xingping slapped Lynn Wanwan hard in the face for the first time. Since you're Milo's stepmother, I feel at ease in trusting the child to you. Is that how you take care of him? Although Lynn's parents didn't say anything, they also looked at their adopted daughter with complaining eyes. In the hospital ward, Lynn, with a pained face, lay on the hospital bed. Several tubes were inserted into his body, and finally tears of regret streamed down his eyes. Dad, I miss Mom. My aunt never pays attention to me. When I say I want to eat, she orders takeout for me. I tell her that my mom said takeout is not healthy and ask her to cook for me. She scolds me and doesn't allow me to meet my mom in front of her. I was at the bottom of the class in this exam. My classmates all laughed at me. If my mom had been here, I definitely wouldn't have done so poorly. Woo woo. Dad, please find Mom back quickly. I want Mom. I don't like Auntie anymore. I don't want her to be my mom. Lynn called me and told me about Lynn's situation. Milo is in a very bad state now. He's so pitiful. He said he misses you very much. Come and visit him at the hospital. Sorry, I'm currently recuperating abroad and I'm afraid I can't go back to see him. You'd better ask his aunt to be more careful. Lynn's slightly angry voice came from the other end of the phone. Nurturing the fetus? Ruby, whose child are you carrying? None of your business. Half a year later I gave birth to a lovely daughter smoothly. I don't know who his father is. She comes from a sperm bank in China. She is my daughter who belongs only to me. She has no annoying father, no annoying aunt and no eccentric grandparents. After I returned home from my postpartum confinement, the first news I heard was that the Lynn family had declared bankruptcy. Without the protection of the Howe family's wings, the Lynn family, which had once made enemies on all sides, was eventually defeated by the arrogance and ignorance of the Lynn family. The Lynn family was heavily in debt. Lynn's father sold all his property and managed to pay off all the debts with great difficulty. Now the family of four can only squeeze into an old second-hand house far from the city center, living a life where their income does not cover their expenses. Once a spirited young man from a wealthy family, now unable to find a job, he has no choice but to work in a factory tightening screws. The 12-hour two-shift work has completely worn down his spine. Lynn's father spent all day outside collecting waste, while Lynn's mother went to a vegetable stand in the nearby market to help sell vegetables, calculating every few cents. Lynn Wanwan was unwilling to live under such conditions. She secretly chatted with a rich man online behind her lover's back. As a result, when they checked into a room, she was caught in the act by the man's wife on the spot. The tigress of the Tuda family, along with her men, gave her a severe beating. She fled the hotel in a disheveled state. However, when she reached the road, she was knocked dozens of meters away by a speeding sports car and died on the spot. When Lynn learned of my return to China, he called me, crying and apologizing to me, begging me to save his son for the sake of the mother-son relationship. After all, it was the child I had carried for 10 months. Seeing that he couldn't even afford medicine every day and his condition was getting worse and worse, I agreed to bring Lynn back and arrange for him to be treated in a sanatorium, with someone to watch over him. I went to see him once. He was lying on the bed, his face sallow. When he saw me, a blush of excitement appeared on his face. But when he saw the little baby I was holding in my arms, his smile froze on his face. Mom, is this my sister? I shook my head. No, she's not your sister. She has nothing to do with you. This is the future successor of the Howe family, the one who will inherit the Howe clan from me. Tears trickled down the corners of his eyes. Mom, are you still unwilling to forgive me? Lynn, I let you live here because I saw my blood flowing in your veins, but that doesn't mean I forgive you. From the moment you said, I don't want me but your aunt, I assumed you were no longer my son. But don't worry. I'll support you until you're 18. After you're 18, leave the Howe family for me. Everything in the Howe family has nothing to do with you. I held the little one in my arms and said, you are no longer my son. From today on you have to call me Ms. Howe. Do you remember? Lynn's face turned deathly pale. Yes, I remember, Ms. Howe. Seeing him look so hopeless at such a young age, I felt no pity at all and turned to leave the ward. Sitting in the car, the milk ball in her arms yawned as if it were about to wake up, and her little arm was scratching randomly. I stretched out my finger to tease her, but she grabbed it all at once as if she had grabbed my heart. It also captured the entire world. End of text.